in the shadow of our Void Build-A-Figure wave coverage, we've got the first two members of the Squadron Supreme in a 2-pack. Marvel's Nighthawk and Marvel's Blur on Way I Got It Figured.
The Way I Got It Figured.
What's up, figure fans? Way I Got It Figured, back with another Marvel Legends review. This time we're looking at the Squadron Supreme Nighthawk and Blur 2-pack. I picked this up at Gamestop. I was inspired to get them based on just how cool Power Princess was. I wanted to get this set last year, but you know, at the time I just didn't have the money. There was other things going on, a lot of G.I. Joe classified stuff like that. So while we're in a little bit of a lull, you know, I'm picking up a few things here and there that I, you know, perhaps missed. And this set is one of those things. And of course, we'll be following this one up in a few days with the Hyperion and Dr. Spectrum 2-pack. So look, you know, be on the lookout for that. Obviously, we're gonna do as we always do. We're gonna look at the package, get the figures out, check them out, do a couple of comparisons, get you some final thoughts, and get you out of here. So starting with the packaging, we've got the latest incarnation of the Squadron Supreme with Nighthawk and Blur. And for those who don't know, the Squadron Supreme are like essentially doppelgangers of the Justice League, you know, but for Marvel. And they mostly exist in universes alternate to the main Marvel universe. There are several versions of the Squadron Supreme out there, including which I guess would be technically the original in terms of publication, the Squadron Sinister, which was created by the Grandmaster way back in the 70s, who we later learned had basically peered into another universe and created his version of a team called the Squadron Supreme, which is essentially the Justice League, as I said before. So we got Nighthawk and Blur, and a lot of times Blur is known as Wizard. The villain Speed Demon, Spider-Man villain Speed Demon, is actually, I think, the only surviving member of the Squadron Sinister. He's still an active villain. So on the side, you've got some artwork of Blur and Nighthawk, drawn by the great Ed McGuinness. And then you got some side art of the same figures, renders. Squadron Supreme on top. And the figures on the back. Get some alternate hands for Blur, alternate hands for Nighthawk, and then 3 of his Hawkerangs, I guess you want to call them. Bunch of useless crap down here. More useless crap on the bottom. So we're going to get them out and see what we can see. Okay, so we've got Nighthawk and Blur out of the package, and it's kind of interesting what they did to make these guys. So Nighthawk, of course, being the Batman analog, has a nice cape and all that kind of stuff. Got his extra hands and his, call them hawkerangs. And he is on the Vulcan body, which is the replacement kind of for the Bucky Cat mold. And then Blur is actually on the Bucky Cat mold. So, you know, they have butterfly joints, both of them. As you can see there. But it's nice to have a set that has both of them, both of those bodies in the same set. So we're gonna start with Blur first, and then we'll go over Nighthawk. So Blur, real name Stanley Stewart. He is like the analog of the Flash in the Squadron Supreme, and he has super speed, as you might imagine. And it's very cool because even though he's got the Bucky Cat body, he does have pinless arms and legs. For those who care about that, they sort of, you know, did spend some money there. He's got, of course, some extra hands. And interesting enough, while he's in yellow and black, it's not like jet black. Then you have Nighthawk. And Nighthawk, like I said, is on the Vulcan body. He's got his cape, which does come off. You know, that's an extra accessory, really. You can peg the cape into his back, sort of hold it in place. And Nighthawk, of course, being on that Vulcan body, is also pinless. And Nighthawk being the analog of Batman for the Squadron Supreme, is a guy named Kyle Richmond. Even when he's a black man, he's always Kyle Richmond, whether he's white or black. And the first black Nighthawk showed up in Supreme Power, which was like an ultimate take, and sort of like an Ultimates universe take on the Squadron Supreme. And when they, you know, crossed over with the Ultimates or the Ultimate Avengers, you know, if you want to refer to them as that, you know, it was the alternate Supreme Power version of the Squadron Supreme that interacted with them. But they also had an issue in those issues where they were actually fighting the Squadron Supreme that you know from the 80s too. So it just goes to show how many Squadron Supremes are out there. And I guess Squadrons Supreme, I should say. And then Hyperion, you know, goes even beyond even that. But yeah, Hyperion is coming up, so we'll talk more about him later. But Nighthawk looks really cool. In this one, and the Squadron Supreme, the Ultimate Power one, you know, they're probably the most formidable in my opinion because they're, you know, they're like Batman. The original Nighthawk was like an 80s kind of version of Batman, maybe. He wasn't really very fearsome in my opinion, but there you go. And we've got his hawkerangs, which if you switch out his hands, you can sort of have and wheeled. So there you go. You get, you know, sort of a running pose. Going to be harder to get old Blur to stand on one leg and run. There you go. They look pretty cool together. And yeah, we almost got ourselves a Squadron Supreme here. So I'm going to straighten them out a little bit. All right, we're going to bring in Power Princess. One of the interesting things I noticed about these guys, they're all sort of wearing gold. They all have something gold on them. I will see if that continues with the other ones. I don't think Dr. Spectrum does, but everybody else seems to be wearing some sort of gold. But there's Power Princess with her Squadron Supreme teammates, and she definitely looks good with them. They look good with her. Yeah, so Power Princess taller than those guys. And yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, we'll have to of course put the entire team together here in the next week or so. But yeah, they look great. They've, you know, we've gone over the Bucky Cat mode several times. We've gone over the Vulcan mode a few times anyway. And you know, they're both great modes. Particularly, you know, when they upgrade them to the pinless technology, that I always, you know, say, man, I don't really care about pins. But honestly, you know, it just makes the figures look better. It does. Not, you know, I'm not denying that. So yeah, so there you go. Squadron Supreme. Now I'm going to move on to final thoughts.
The way I got it figured.
Final thoughts on the Squadron Supreme Nighthawk and Blur 2-pack. Yeah, they're good. I like them. I'm glad I got them. And, you know, I mean, Power Princess just sort of just made it a necessity. She did. I really think she's, you know, we're just starting out in 2024, and she's definitely a figure of the year candidate already. I wouldn't go that far with these guys, but they are cool. Out of the 2 packs, you know, I'm aware of the details of the Hyperion and Dr. Spectrum pack, and the Hyperion figure is, you know, a well-worn mold. I think he's partially pinless, and like Dr. Spectrum is like a straight Bucky Cat mold with pins. So I guess what I'm getting at is, of the 2 packs, this is the one where they spent the most money. They, you know, they gave you the better parts. They gave you accessories for Nighthawk and the cape. So, you know, while I'm still expecting to enjoy the Hyperion and Dr. Spectrum pack, that's going to be a more basic affair. So with this one, I'm going to give this set a 9. I think they're good figures. They're great figures, you know, with the up-to-date tech and everything. So I'm going to give them a 9. All right, so that'll do it for this one. Thanks for stopping by, watching the video. And if you like the Squadron Supreme or don't like them or whatever it happens to be, you know, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about these figures. If you got them, did you pass on them? How do you feel about them now with Power Girl? And let's continue the conversation in the comment section. I want to, again, thank everybody for stopping by. Thanks for joining the channel, all the new subscribers. Got plenty more content coming. And, you know, I just want to acknowledge you that you're, you know, you are appreciated. You could be watching any video on YouTube, but you chose to watch mine, and you have my gratitude for that. So I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, everybody stay safe. Peace.